Hello and good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday today. I think we're going to call it Wednesday. It's March 10th. And we have been working on for quite a while a big trivia game for Alexa, and it's been awesome. We've solved a bunch of problems. We've done things with achievements. We have a huge database sitting behind it. Good morning, Alex. But what I've gotten some comments from recently is that people are they've come in the middle, and they don't always know what's going on or how all of the pieces fit together, especially when it comes to things like Airtable and a number of other pieces that we use. So I thought it would be interesting, especially while we're waiting for certification, to kind of start over, get something new going. And today is going to be that day. Now, for some of you, longtime viewers, this is not going to seem that new because we have had aspirations to build a voice-based casino for a long time. We've built major pieces of it, in fact. But what I thought I would do is really focus in, at least today, on creating a new skill and building out. Oh, thank you, Major Lift. I've been pretty good about that lately, but not today. Let me fix that here really quick. Just change our category to science, technology. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I have not heard anything back on certification yet, but we did it during the stream yesterday, so it's been less than 24 hours. And that's the plan. So what we're going to do today here in this stream is we're going to create a new skill. I'm going to do it in the dev portal. Then I'm going to use Visual Studio Code to bring that project down to my local machine. We will create a GitHub repository, we'll deploy that, and then we're going to spend a lot of time thinking about our voice model. And I'm not actually going to build out a lot of the voice model. What I'm going to do for now is I'm going to build out my tests.
Developers.
All about the developers, right? So we're going to build out a lot of the natural language understanding tests. And I'll explain all that here in just a second. But basically, we're going to build out a set of rules that say, this is how it should function. And then we will go build our voice model to accommodate that. Good morning, Father Goblin. You have some music, right?
What would you say you do here?
There it is. Good morning, Father Goblin. So I guess let's get right into it. If we jump over to this, you can see that I'm here in the Alexa developer console. If you haven't done this before and you want to follow along or whatever, I'm going to move kind of fast, but you can at least check out all the tools. You can find that here. And we are going to here. I didn't post that to LinkedIn. I'll share that with the LinkedIn folks too. So the plan is to be able to. Father Goblin has 31,000 points. Oh my gosh. That's something else we need to really get back to, is giving you guys ways to spend that in creative ways. We'll get there. We got lots to do. There's lots of change coming. One of the other things that's going to change, maybe a little bit of this backdrop. We'll jump back to this for a second. I have these white table things here. This is a shelf storage thing from IKEA. There's two of them that are put together, and that's what this top level is. And then they kind of step down on either side, and then there's drawers in them and whatever. All the drawers are things like this, full of technology. Like this is all sorts of adapters and things. Anyway, I have another entire drawer dedicated just to like USB cables, right? So this is where we keep a lot of the technology around the house. And I think I want to get that out of here. I think it's not serving a ton of purpose here, certainly in my backdrop, but in the stream for sure. But even in this office, I think we can find another place for it. But I like having all these devices here and having the lamp and stuff. So what I think I'm going to do is I have a mini shelf sitting over here. And I think what I'm going to do is extend that mini shelf to be the same as these. So it'll come all the way out to here. And then nothing else otherwise. And all of the Alexa devices will end up on that shelf there. I think that's what I'm going to do, but we're going to rework the little backdrop. I think a lot of what I'm thinking for what's going to happen in this office, because I really want to rework a lot of this office too, is we'll probably going to come this summer. There's a lot of stuff in this office that I don't think needs to be in here. I just don't know where else to put it. I just have stacks of things. Anyway, that's not the point of today. That's not what we're working on. What we are working on is thinking about how we're going to build this casino. And you can see that I have two iterations that I've built earlier. I just modified them today to get rid of the wake word. So these two are older versions. If I open this one, this is the oldest one. I can see that I have a bunch of intents, start slots, start poker, bet summary, all that kind of stuff. And then I'm also going to, if I look at the other one, probably pretty similar. Start slots, start poker, poker hold, poker deal. I think I'm going to try and be a little more generic with some of this stuff. The Chatsino in the chat is not there right now. It runs off of my Mac, which is over there, and I just haven't set it up. But I'll eventually get, like, we're close on the code for all of this. So I feel like we could probably start building a new chatbot that manages all of this stuff. What has Zella got for me on APL Ninja? You have a card dealer? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, this is going to be so cool. Yeah, Zella, I'm definitely going to work with you on some of this stuff. I'm going to need your help in thinking about how we play with that. The thing that he's showing, he sent. If you guys haven't seen this, I'll reload it. Look at that. With custom Alexa cards, ridiculous. Anyway, we're not there yet. We got a long way to go before we're worried about APL, but I think it's a cool idea for sure. Okay, so I want to come back and I want to just create a new skill. So we're going to call this one Chatsino. We'll make it lowercase. We're going to start with just a custom skill. Boring. There's none of these other models that we care about. And for Alexa hosted, I'm going to say provision my own. I'm going to have my own AWS that this lives in. If I'm going to do that, is this really how I want to do this? Yeah, I can still do this. Okay, so we're gonna create a skill. And I'm going to start from scratch, which is just our basic hello world. So let's do that. And while this is loading, I'm going to run over to AWS. And we're going to create a new Lambda function. Come on. So I think I already have some. Chatsino Alexa. Is that what I want to do? I don't have one just called Chatsino, so let's just do that. Brand new function. Create new function. Use a blueprint. Is that what I want? I haven't done this in a while. I think none of these are what I really want. I thought I really thought there was an Alexa one in here. Weird. Why is my computer exploding? All right, it's not there. Oh, here we go. Alexa, so it was under serverless app repository. Excellent. So I have a bunch in here. Alexa Skills Kit, Node.js, Hello World. That was created by Sohan. I wonder. I think that's going to be the one. Okay, I want to call this. You know what? This seems a lot more complicated than I really want it to be. Now that I'm thinking about this, like as I build this Chatsino skill, what I want to do is then come to my endpoint and I want to tell it like, hey, this is where I want it to point. And actually, I don't even need to worry about the backend yet because it gives me a default backend, which is just a existing intent reflector. So that's great for now because I'm not building any of my backend stuff yet. What we're focused on is the voice model, so that's great. I don't even have to think about it. So let me come into my interaction model and let's look at what we have. We have cancel, help, and stop. We have hello world intent because you have to have at least one custom intent. Then we have navigate home and fallback. So these live as part of our skill. And what we want to do for right now is think about what our evaluation looks like. So for example, if someone says bet 5 on poker, what should happen? Well, in this case, you can see that what it's telling me is we're going to hit the fallback intent because we haven't built anything to handle those kinds of utterances. But that doesn't mean that we can't start building tests around this concept. So what I'm going to do is come into NLU evaluation, and I'm going to create some different annotation sets for different games. So we'll start with, let's start with, not roulette, let's start with slots. This is our initial annotation set. I'm going to say bet 5 on slots. Now, the intent name that I want isn't actually in this list. So I can either come up with, Select the Gang says you should make it so you can add intents and slot types with VS Code instead of the developer portal. You can, they have. So in here, if I come into, well, here, let me download and edit a skill. And it's going to have a list of my skills. I'm just typing in a search term. Takes a while. I have like 75 of them. Come on, this is maybe a little too long. There we go. We want this one. And we want to put it in GitHub, and we just want to call it Chatsino. So all of that is great. So it's downloading all that stuff. And once that's done, in my interaction model, you can see that right here, I have all of that data here locally. So select the gang. I can add intents and do all that stuff right from here. The problem is that I then need to deploy this to the developer portal in order for anything to work or be tested, which is why I tend to live here, because the moment I make the change, it's available when I talk to devices or testing or whatever. If I make the change here in VS Code, the changes are great. I can make them all here, no problem, but I have to then push it up before that change takes effect. Okay, so one of the things that I was thinking about changing was the idea that if we, let's go back to this, show you the old version of this. One of the things that I did with my interaction model was that I had different intents for different games. So in this case, you can see I have things like start poker or start roulette, or down here, I think we had start slots. So they were individual, but if you look at them, it was like they would say slots or 5 on slots or slots for 5, bet 5 coins on slots, right? And if I come to one of the other ones, like roulette or poker, same idea. Poker, video poker, wager on video poker. I'm going to combine all of this into like a start game intent. And then I'm going to have slots for the different games. So if we look at this, what I really want to do is say like start game intent. And then my expected slots, the slot name is going to be game, and the slot value should be slots. And then we'll add another one, and this should be wager, and the value should be 5. Right, so I've created this one individual test. We'll try this again. We'll add another one that is bet 10 on poker. So again, start game intent. This is going to have a game that is poker and a wager is 10. And let's do one more here. Bet 20. Goodness, 20 on slots. Same idea, start game intent. Actually, this was only supposed to be slots. I'm going to get rid of the poker one. Just occurred to me. So we'll check our game here. Should be slots. And again, our wager should be 20. So the cool thing about this is that I can save this annotation set. And then when we come up to evaluate model, one of the things we can do is say, hey, run an evaluation. Again, this is only against our voice model, but we're going to run an evaluation of our tests against our model and see what happens. And so as I run this test, what it's doing is it's checking to see if bet 20 on slots is passed in, what happens? If bet 5 on slots is passed in, what happens? And so we can look at our evaluation and we can see that, in fact, both of them hit the Amazon fallback intent. Okay. Well, this is something we're always going to want to be true is these kinds of examples. So one of the things that we can do is come into our interaction model and look at our intents. We're going to add a new intent called start game intent. Create a custom intent for that. And then we're going to say things like bet 5 on slots or bet 20 on slots, like that, right? So as we start doing this, we realize, well, this is getting awfully repetitive, that we're talking about all games. So what I'm going to do is take this word slots, and we're going to create a new slot called game. Well, maybe. Create a new slot called game. Why is that going away? What am I doing wrong here? Game. We're going to add that. And then this is going to be wager instead. And we realize that this second one is kind of redundant, so we can get rid of that. Down here, we have to talk about wager, and that's going to be an Amazon.number slot, because we're asking for the user to give us some number of wagers that they want to make. And then we have a game type Now, this isn't something that we have a slot type for, so we're going to have to go create one. So in this case, I'm going to come down here and we're going to look at slot types, and we're going to create a new one called game, the type game. And slot values, these are going to be things right now like slots, poker, roulette, blackjack, craps. I think that's probably good for now. We may add more games. We may even have like multiple versions of video poker, multiple versions of slots as we go. But these are good for now, and we'll add some synonyms. So we'll call poker. We can also call this video poker. But that's probably good for now. So we have our game slot. So if we come back to our intent, start game intent, we can now assign this as game. So we now have our two slots defined. So let's think about some other ways people might say this. Play game for wager. Other stuff that we can do is, why is this disabled? Oh, because I need to edit my slot. So one of the things that's required is that in order for them to bet on a game, I need to know which game and how much their bet is. So one of the things we can do is say, is this slot required to fulfill the intent? We're talking about wager right now. Yes, in fact, it is. So what should Alexa say to prompt the user to fill this slot? Well, we could say, okay, how much do you want to wager on game? Let's do this a couple. Okay. Game. What is your wager? We've got a couple different options here. You want to play game. What's your bet? How much are you betting on game? Right, so I have these little pieces here that say, hey, if they don't give me a wager, then say one of these things to the user. And this is just going to be like, what are my options here? 10, 5, whoop, 5, 20, 6, 4. Let me choose a slot type. That would be, I would think that would make more sense. Does it require confirmation? No, it does not. Okay, so this is good. We have the start game intent for wager. If we come into our other slot, which is game, we kind of need to do the same thing. Is this slot required? Yes. I heard that you want to bet wager. Which game do you want to play? Let's just say if they just say like something like bet 5, but they don't tell me what game they want, we'll end up here. I heard that you want to bet wager. Which game did you want to play? Okay. You're betting wager. Which game? I think this is far less likely that they would say bet 5 without a game, but it's good to have. And then one of the other things that we can do, this is where they're going to say poker, slots, roulette. It seems like I should just be choosing a slot type rather than what would the user say in the response to these. You must include this slot name in curly braces in these utterances to capture the spoken slot value. Oh, okay, maybe I can just do that. That seems to make more sense, right? Game. That makes more sense. You might also say, I want to or play game. Okay, this is a good start. So back to our intent. Start game intent. We now have this wager in this game. So let's play with this a little bit. One of the things that we can do as we think about our interaction model is, well, let's save and build this so that we can see how our tests look now, because I think I want to. In a sample utterance of start game intent, where did I want to play? Let's get rid of this. Not in this one. It must be in this one here. Okay. Let's try that again. Quick build was successful, and then I want to give a run to the model evaluation to see if our initial tests pass. Okay, so if we come in here and we go back to this, if we run the evaluation again, I'd be interested to see if we still fail. And if we do, then we have some more work to do, but I think maybe we'll come through on this one. It takes a little longer when it's successful. And we passed. That's excellent. So what this shows us is that we hit the start game intent when we say bet 20 on slots. We have two slots called wager and game, and expected versus that seems weird. What are those? Let's go look at our evaluator. Did I screw something up there? So we go to our annotation sets and we look at slots. This seems right to me. What is going on? The evaluation that I got said that, I mean, it said it passed. That's interesting. So I would expect wager on this one to be 5. Game slots. God. Save this. Let's run that again. Because I don't like that those are red. I mean, it should be indicating to me that I got the appropriate values at the appropriate time. And it's not saying that. Let's go. Let's do this. passed. So, I mean, passed is good. But it's saying that it's expecting an array. And what it got was 20. But it's not expecting an array. Very interesting. Let's go back. Let's go to our test tab and see what this gets us. So if I say open text,
I'm not sure.
We didn't change our interaction name yet. So we'll fix that too. But as we continue rolling here, I feel like one of the things that really needs to stand out for us is that these tests should be consistent across all of our experiences. So as we continue to grow this, and we think about our different annotation sets and how they work. Oh, I'm in the wrong skill. That's why. As we look at our annotation sets, we should be able to come in anytime and run them and be confident that they're still working, that everything's still passing. Because as we continue to grow and change our interaction model, it's possible that different phrasing, different words will go to different places. And we want to prevent that as much as we can. So, okay, so now we have that all set up. Let's go to the testing tool and let's say open Chatsino.
I don't know that.
Open Chatsino.
I found a few skills that might help. Did you mean chatbot?
I didn't. At this skill.
Launch request.
There we go. So what I want to see here is that's my launch request. That's okay. That's good. So we'll save this, and then let's say that 5 on poker.
Intent. Start game intent. Locale. NUS. Slots. Wager. 5. Game. Poker.
Cool. So this reflector shows me all of that stuff. So I have 2 slots. I have wager, which has a value of 5. And I have another slot called game, and I have the value poker. And you can see that it's actually matching the value that I have, which is poker, that's in my slot. So it's letting me know, by the way, you have the right game. So initially, we have a decent model, right? We're not even close to done, but we have a starter kit. So if we look at our intents, we have this start game intent, and I want to write some more tests. So let's create another annotation set. This one's going to be poker. Oh, that's not where I write that. Poker. And then this is going to be that 5 on poker. Again, similar idea. Start game intent. We're going to have some slot values. Wager is going to be 5. And that's weird. Game is going to be poker. And let's say poker for 10. Excuse me. So this is going to be wager of 10. And a game of poker. Save this set. So now you can see in my tool here, I have multiple annotation sets that I can use to test my model. So we're going to choose poker this time, and we'll run an evaluation on that one for the first time. But realistically, this should also pass based on everything that we've created. Where this gets more complicated is when we start thinking about all of the other commands that people use when playing machines. For example, there is the idea in poker of holding a card. But it's not exclusive to poker. So holding a card in poker means I want to keep that card. I want to hold on to it. But in blackjack, it means I don't want any more cards. I want to hold or stand. And so we have to think about how we're going to handle those kinds of things. Why did this one fail? Oh, because I wrote 5. Okay, I can live with that. I don't love these. This feels broken. Save. Feels very broken, and I don't really know why. That definitely used to work. It should be lighting up green also, or it should be failing me. It's very weird that it's not. Okay. What are we doing here? I don't want any of this. Go away. So this is just a different kind of annotation set. These ASR ones, these are where I can actually record my voice and then test my voice against my skill to see where it goes, which is pretty handy. Especially if you have a bunch of different speakers, it's kind of cool to be able to bring them all in and test different voices against the same model. Okay, so we have poker and slots. That's really where we're going to start. And as we think about our interaction model, this allows us to start games. So we can play a game. We could say something like game or wager. Right, we should continue to grow our model for different ways that people might say this stuff. But we start to build out a voice model that represents the kinds of things that our users might say. So it's going to be like, welcome to the Chatsino. What would you like to do? And the user is going to say, bet 5 on poker, or whatever they might say. We should also say something like bet wager coins on game. So these all become kind of representations of the way people will speak, and we'll continue to expand and grow this. But it's a good set and sample for now. And then when we look at our testing, we can see that we're actually getting the values as the user says this stuff into our skill. Now, we haven't written any back-end code yet, right? We're not worried about actually making the game happen or being able to play it. All we're focused on right now is, do we capture the words the user said in a way that allows us to do something interesting with it later? So I'm going to open up this. We're going to go to an older version of Chatsino. We're going to think about some of the other commands that I have built. So some of the other ones that we had were, again, these have now all been consolidated into start game, which I think will be good. It will be easy for us to track down. We have a balance intent. So this one looked like this. What is my coin total? What is my balance? All that kind of stuff. So let's just go take that. If we look at our JSON editor, we can find our balance intent. Looks like this one right here. And we will copy that and bring it over to our new one. So in here, we have all of these intents. And after start game, we can just drop a comma and give us a balance intent that looks like this. Like that. Okay. And so this balance intent, now if we look at our intents, has how many chips do I have? What is my chip count? What's my total? What is my balance? How much do I have, right? All of these kind of lead to the same thing, which is going to be, hey, how much money do I have left? How many credits do I have? Let's see what else we had. We had the balance intent. We had hold and deal. I'm going to change these to be specific commands rather than tied to a specific game. So we have spin, we have bet summary. What is bet summary? Oh, that's a good one. Because you can have bets hold over. If we think about games like roulette or even video poker, you could bet 5 on poker and I deal you your 5 cards and then you walk away. Well, I don't know what to do with those 5 coins. In a real casino, you would just lose them, right? Somebody else would come up and take the machine and do whatever, but we don't have that luxury. And I'm not in the business of building a bunch of timers to ruin all of this. So what would happen is if you came in later and said, play poker, I would say, whoa, 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 you already have money in the machine, man. Do you want to finish your hand? And then they can either finish their hand or they can start a new one. I probably won't even let them start a new one. I'll just have them finish. Do you want to deal? Do you want to do whatever? Because nobody's going to want to just throw their credits away. They should want to finish it. Even if it's going to lose, they should still know that. So that's the bet summary intent. We have the pay table intent. This is like, what are the odds for a specific game? This is a good one. So let's go to the JSON editor for this one. Start roulette, balance, poker hold. We'll get into all of these. Pay table intent. Like so. We'll bring this one into. So it's going to look like that. Lovely. So now we have a pay table intent. So this again uses that same game slot that we were building for the other one, right? It's the same collection of games that we offer. And now I can say, what are the odds for this game? Or give me the pay table for this game. So let's think about how we would build some more voice tests for this. So let's create a new annotation set. We're going to call this pay table. And what are the odds for slots? So again, this should hit the pay table intent. It should have a slot called game, and we should expect our value in this one to be slots. We could also create another one. What were some of the other examples we had there? Poker odds. We'll just say poker odds. And pay table intent is what we should hit. Game, poker. Give me the roulette pay table. All right, we'll do that. Give me the roulette pay table. All right. Save and run that and see how it goes. I probably need to build my model. I don't think I've done that since I brought the new intents in. So we'll save and build just to get that stuff rolling. How's everybody doing? Things good out there? I know we've got a few people tuned in. It's always good to know if you guys are here in the chat or have any questions. I'm happy, obviously, to answer any of those questions as we go. But I'm always interested to know how you guys are doing. I've got a not so busy day today. I'm actually going to get a bunch of work done because I don't have meetings. This is a very rare day where I have 0 meetings. That just doesn't happen. And Ryan, I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you like this idea, and I'm glad I can share with all of you. So we're waiting for my model to build. It's done. So let's come to evaluate model, and let's take a look at this new one, which is pay table. I would expect this to pass. I also probably should go back and rerun the poker one, because it failed, but I fixed the one issue. Ryan, you're asking, how can I find this? Find what? How can you find the code for this? Is that what you're looking for? As we wait for our pay table test to pass. And it did, that's good. So this means that all that or the original Chatsino. Well, all of that stuff, you can find it on my GitHub. So if you go to my GitHub and go to like Chatsino Alexa, I'll just drop this link in the chat for you. This is all of the source code for the original version of this that I built. I'm going to go in a slightly different route, but the core concepts are there. I'm just trying to simplify and modularize a lot of what's there. So this is the source code for that. You're welcome to dive in and take a look at all of it. I think it's all public. There's a lot of good stuff in there, though, especially as we look at the Lambda. There's a helper file that has all sorts of things that I've written for specific Alexa kinds of things that I want to do. Things like checking to see if something supports APL or getting resolved words and spoken words out of a slot, getting a user's locale, all that kind of stuff. So there's a bunch of useful stuff in here that you may want to use. In the version you're going to look at, I actually used emojis in my code as symbols. So I don't know that I would do that again, but it was kind of interesting to just use the emojis actually in the code. It was kind of fun to do. Anyway, back here, our pay table stuff passed. We didn't write anything for balance intent, so we should probably do that. Like, what is my total? What is my coin total? Ryan, I think it would be super awesome for you to give it a try. And I'd be happy to offer you any guidance or thoughts on how this stuff all works. I'm here almost every morning. I also work on the team that makes Alexa. So if you want to join us, we do open office hours every Tuesday at noon Eastern. And there's a number of other opportunities for you to get together with all of us. Another thing I would recommend if you're thinking about getting into Alexa stuff is to check out our Slack. We have a community Slack at alexa.design/Slack. And in that location, you can go there, you can ask questions, you can engage with people, you can talk to the product teams. Like, it gives you a lot more access than you might get otherwise. So I might consider joining that too. Okay, so balance intent doesn't really have a lot to check, right? It's just whether or not those things go there. But we could take a couple of these utterances. We'll call this new annotation set. Balance, and we'll just drop one of these in here. What is my coin total? Balance. What is my balance? And again, we're just expecting the balance intent to be hit, but we don't have any slots on this. So we'll save those. And we had a couple of other things I think we could have said for balance intent. Balance intent. Where did it go? What is my chip count? We'll take that one. Testing our actual utterances is kind of cheating because they should work. Yeah, Father Goblin, that is, I was sad to hear that too. I got to help write that test. And so I was a little sad too, but it is what it is. AWS and their certification team is a whole other world, and they have their priorities, and this just didn't match up. So that's okay. It's fine. All right, so this one should almost certainly work. I can't imagine why it wouldn't. But let's come into balance, run our evaluation, and get that one to go. Now, what's really nice about this is having these annotation sets allows us to come back and test this stuff anytime. So as we're thinking about adding more features to our skill and adding more interactivity, especially as we add new intents, I think it's really worthwhile to come back and run these evaluations again to make sure that you haven't broken anything. Because if you can get all your tests to be passing, that's solid, right? And then if you can come back and run those tests and they fail, then you know that something you just did broke it. And it's obviously it's up to you to figure out what you broke and how you broke it, but it's a really useful way to understand what's going on with your voice stuff. And I especially like the ASR stuff because you can test your actual voice instead of just typing. But anyway, so that's balance and pay table. And so we've got a few things set up here. So the other thing that I wanted to do this morning as we start thinking about this was someone had been asking me about how do we communicate with Airtable? How do we get this stuff set up and working? So I think the right thing for us to do now is move down here. We're going to come back to this, and we're going to say skill manifest. I want to download that. Great. And the interaction model, I want to download that. This should have all my new intents in it, right? Yeah. All that stuff is there. Pulling that right down from the cloud. Beautiful. And then what I want to do is be able to test my skill. Now, the thing that this thing doesn't have right now, if I close all of these and go back to my files, is in my skill.json, we have this reflector template skill set up here, but that's actually not what I want. So what I want to do is create a new Lambda and get, I don't even have the Lambda stuff in here, man. I guess I've never really done this way. This is interesting. How do I get the Lambda stuff in here? What if I just do... Okay, let's see what Asp Resources has in it. Yes, I want to overwrite it. Skill ID, leave empty to create one. Well, my skill ID is this. Skill package path. Yeah. Lambda code path for default region. Leave empty to not deploy Lambda. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so I want to say can I just create a folder called Lambda? And then what do I do now? No, I don't need CloudFormation. We're gonna go higher. We're gonna go Node.js 14. Functions. Where do I see the no? .x? Is that what? Now I don't know what they wanted. So Node.js 14.x. Sure, we'll say it looks right. I don't know. Okay, so I have a Lambda now. If I look at ask resources, I wonder what's going to happen here. I still need a different URI for that. All right, let's just see what happens if I say ask deploy. I blow everything up. Oh, because I don't have any of the Lambda stuff in there. Man, I guess I've never done it this way. This is interesting. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to come into my folder where I created this. We're just going to blow this all away. All the way. Let's go delete, delete, delete. No, that's not what I asked you to do. Oh my goodness. Click on the folder, say delete. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do instead is we're going to come into our terminal. All of that is fine. I'm okay with all of this news that it doesn't exist. Let's close the folder. Don't save. Terminal. Thank you. Can't. Okay, so in here, we're going to say ask new. Node.js, AWS Lambda, hello world. Type in your skill name, chat, CMO. There we have all the stuff. So, all right, fine. So then we're going to come into this developer console. And we're going to take our interaction model, bring it down here. Skill package, interaction models, JSON. That. That's pretty easy to do. And then the other piece that we need, if I can fix it. They haven't even said it yet. Okay. I thought there was a place where it gave the Lambda function name. It's not that. I guess because we haven't deployed yet. So let's do that. I've forgotten way back, early days of building Alexa skills. You used to have to go create a Lambda function independently, and then get its AWS address, grab that, add it to your skill. Man, it was a very manual process, and I was heading down that path as I was doing this. So I'm glad that we stopped and paused for a minute. Now, what this is going to do is create another entirely new skill, which is okay. We are now pushing out to Lambda. It's just going to create a Lambda function for me. Okay. I'd love to know what the name of that Lambda function is. Yeah, see, it changed it to this, which is not really what I want. But it's okay. My goodness, come on. First time deployments. Okay, great. So now that we've deployed all of that, if we come back to our list of skills, we should see 2 of these. This is the one we don't want. And this is the one that we just created. So in here, we can still see our same interaction model. The thing that wasn't copyable, I wish it was all of the evaluation stuff we created. So I'll go back and create those on my own time. But you can see that we have our start, game, intent, balance, pay table. Those things are all living here. And if we come into test, what we should be able to do here is say, play chat Sino. Be like, hello world.
Welcome.
Yeah.
You can say hello or help. Which would you like to try? You just triggered start game intent.
Cool. And so we can see that we're still getting the same kind of functionality, right? We have our slots, we have our wager, we have our poker. So all of that stuff starting games is pretty good. So we've initially started our skill, and now in order to really do anything with our code, one of the key things that we're going to need is the ability to capture a user and know who they are and recognize them every single time they come back to the skill. So that's going to require us to write a little bit of code. And so in our Lambda function, we have this basic structure that we use. I don't like that size. I'll leave it at this size. So we have our launch request. This is like, hey, welcome. You can say hello or help. So one of the things that I'm going to do as I start building this stuff out is that we're going to be really modular about this. Most of the code isn't going to live in this file at all. We're going to move things to other places. We're going to have folders on folders on folders of different kinds of activities. But one of the things that we'll have is these different handlers. So like this code here will live somewhere else. So let's start there with a Lambda function. We're going to create a new folder called handlers. Handlers is fine. So in there, we'll do index.js. And this is where we're going to have a list of files that we need. So our first handler is really going to be launch request. So this file will look like this. It'll be function launch request. I'll explain all this in a second. module.exports launch request. So this gives me a basic framework for the launch request. And then over here, I'm going to create this file. And this is going to be const launch request equals request. So what I've done here is I've basically built a new module called handlers that has like the master directory inside of it called index. I've listed launch request as one of the items that's in this directory. And then, of course, I have the actual launch request function. So what I can do with my index is I can take this code. Instead, I can just say return, and we need to add handlers here. So const handlers equals require handlers. Say return handlers dot launch request. So what this is going to do then is in our launch request, we want to have this. So we're getting the welcome. You can say hello or help. We'll change this actually. Welcome to the casino. So this gives us our launch request. Same stuff, but we've broken it out into another file. We have our index, which keeps track of all those files, and then we have the ability to call that launch request. So it gets a lot of our code out of here. All we do is, in this index file, is decide which handler to go to, and then we let the handler decide how everything else is handled, right? So we'll have a different one for game type and a different one for, like you can see here, we have help and hello world, and this one can go away entirely. Help will stay, cancel and stop will probably get split out. We'll leave the intent reflector because it's a good catch-all, but down here at the bottom, we will also need to continue to add things to this list as these things are going. So let's clean this up a little bit and get these files where we want them to be. Another handler we're going to have is the help intent. And again, same idea. So we'll take this concept, bring it over to the help intent. Should probably keep these alphabetically or I'll go crazy. Okay. So we have our help intent, we have our launch request, and now for our help intent, we can take this, get all of that out of this file, and we can just instead say return handlers dot help intent. So I wish there were ways to get rid of more of this, but I feel like we come into this file, this is where stuff happens, and the initial decision about where to route the user all tends to happen right here. So launch request, help intent handler, I wish I could simplify this, make it a lot cleaner. But I mean, we need this logic. We need this can handle logic to say, hey, we can or can't do this thing. Here's the criteria for doing so. And then we use this as a way to route the user out to the appropriate location. So we have launch, we have help. Let's break this out. So we'll call this cancel intent. We'll make it only cancel intent. So, and then we'll create a new one in here. That is like so. Let's cancel. add that here. Yeah, this file grows pretty quickly as we add new intents. What else? We're going to have a stop also. So this becomes return handlers dot cancel. And then we need to duplicate this. Stop. I like to separate these. You don't have to. You can treat them the same, but I feel like there's a lot of opportunities for you to differentiate those two words and use them in different ways. So we'll help. We'll change this to cancel. Stop is there now. We have cancel and stop. I'm also going to alphabetize these a little bit so they're easier to find as we continue to grow this list. Cancel, help. You can see why I like to simplify. I almost want to do this just because they're not really going to change, not too terribly much, but then I can just see all the handlers that are here. So stop calls to stop, cancel calls to cancel. So the last thing is then to create a new one. That is the stop intent. And so look at this. Prompt. And then this is actually going to just be you said stop. And what does the cancel one say? Probably not how I want this to go eventually, but a good way for me to at least handle it for now. All right, you said stop, you said cancel. This help one should be you said help. And our launch request is welcome to the Chatsino. Okay, so this is a good initial set of intents. And we have cancel, help, launch, stop. And if we look at our initial interaction model, we have, not that one. Cancel, help, stop. Hello world can go away. We don't need that one. We have navigate home and fallback intent. We're not even really using those right now, so we'll talk about those much, much later. And then we have start game balance and pay table. So I think it would be nice to at least build the initial framework to handle those, start game balance and pay table. So let's get those. So the first one is start game intent. So first stop. Just realized I never added stop to this. All right. Cancel, help, launch, stop. The next one was start game intent. So that's going to go right here alphabetically. Let's take this guy. It's very, very similar. So this is going to be start game and handler. And instead of Amazon.stop intent, this is going to be start game, like that. And then this will be start game intent. So we're passing the entire handler input object. This is what lets us know what the user indicated, right? So when we think about the handler input, what that really is, if we look at our test console, is all of this. All of this data, this entire document, is captured inside our handler input. And so it allows us to see who the user is, what their intent was, what they intended to do, any session data we have, all of that stuff lives there. So when we're in here, all we need to do is say, go do this thing. We'll go figure out what that is, what they wanted to do, what game they wanted to play, how much they wanted to bet, all that stuff. But we need to just create the basic framework for this. So let's create a new one called Start Game. A lot of this is just really, it's almost like initial plumbing. We're just building up the routing to get us to the right place, but we're not building the right places, the right responses yet at all. So this is the start game intent. Right. We need that to be on the bottom too. Also in our index. Right. So at this point, we should be able to take and deploy all of this. We could do a quick deploy. All we're really doing is pushing our Lambda code out. We'll eventually get into doing some local debugging. I just haven't set that up yet. And now if we come out to our test here, I don't know what change you thought I made, but that's fine. Chatino, welcome to the Chatino, right? Maybe? Hello?
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Interesting. All right, well, let's take a look at why that is. So I look at my functions. This is the new one. Do they give me a place to go look at CloudWatch monitor? Logs and CloudWatch, perfect. So in here, let's see what our error is. Hello world intent handler is not defined. Interesting. Why is it trying to go to the hello world intent handler? Oh, never mind. This is a code issue. Because here I deleted the hello world intent handler, but I didn't delete it from my list down here. That's all. That's all. Okay, so now we should be able to say open Chatino.
Welcome to the Chatino.
Nice. Okay, so you can see that down here where we have our launch request coming in, but we're saying welcome to the Chatino, which actually happens in our code in the launch request. Welcome to the Chatino. So our index file is routing specific commands to specific places. In that case, it was the launch request handler. We're calling out to handlers.launchRequest, and inside handlers.launchRequest, we are generating that response and sending it all back to the user. Cool. So this start game intent handler doesn't exist down here at the bottom yet. So we'll drop that like here. And our start game intent should just say, hey, this is the start game intent. So remember, because of the testing we were doing earlier, we should be pretty confident that if the user says bet 5 on poker, they should land here. So let me deploy this one more time. And we'll put a plan together for what we're going to do tomorrow, and I'll get this GitHub repository created and everything. All right, so let's test that theory really quick. So welcome to the Chatino, it says, and I say bet 5 on poker.
This is the start game intent.
Awesome. So we hit the start game intent like we expected. And down here at the bottom, you can see that I got my wager and I got my game. So I know what game they wanted, and it should be pretty easy for us to grab. So we're not going to do that now. I have some helper functions and some things that we'll pull in to actually identify what the slot values are and parrot them back to the user, get a game started, do all that kind of stuff. But there's no way we're getting that done today. The other thing that I want to do as we think about continuing to build out this structure is, what was I going to have us do? We have some initial intents. I really wanted to do the Airtable user stuff, but I don't think that's going to happen today. That probably will be tomorrow, just to get an initial setup for our user. Um, yeah, I don't know. Oh, I know. I was going to do the GitHub stuff. So let's come in here and let's say create a new repository. And we're going to call this Chatsino. I don't know if it'll let me do that though, because I may have created one that like that with that name already. What did you do? Yeah, see, that's not what I wanted you to do. Oh, come on, come on, come on. We just totally locked up. That's fun. Really? Okay. Let's get rid of that. Remove that. Okay, great. Let's try that again. Create no repository. No. There we go. That did it in the right place. So now when I look at my history, why do I only see... Oh, did I do the same thing again? Seriously? Create new repository. Yeah, I did the same thing again. Okay. Okay, I think we're good now. If we look at the history, all of the files that we've created are there. That's what we want. I have no changes. This is just our initial commit. So we'll publish this repository, and this is probably where it's going to freak out and say, hey, you already have a repository with that name. Name already exists. Okay, let's go look at what's in that repository, because I think I can probably blow it away. Here, we'll just rename this. How about that? Okay, now let's come back. Do it again. All right, so now when we come to GitHub and we look at all of this stuff was uploaded a minute ago. So this new repository exists. You guys will have access to this anytime you want to be able to dive in and see what's going on, what the daily progress has been, whatever. And we're going to grow the entire thing inside here. So I don't think I have time to do anything else that's super robust. So I think, is that where we want to stop? I guess we could do the other two intents that we have. If we look at this, we have balance intent. We could do the same thing for this. Open handlers, we'll create a new balance intent. this index needs a balance intent. Okay, balance intent is there. We just need to add some stuff to it. And then in here, we need to create one of those. So come up to cancel. This becomes balance. This becomes balance. Add all that stuff together. So that should be good. The last piece is to take this intent handler, add it way down here. There, okay. And our last one, just to make sure everything is up, was pay table intent. Take this, save it as. And one last intent handler. We'll use this one. Balance, pay table, intent handler, and I think it should be good. So let's deploy this out just to see how those other two interactions that we just created work. But they should be pretty good. Okay. So in our test, we should now be able to say something like, "What is my balance?"
This is the balance intent.
Nice. Or what is the poker pay table?
This is the payee table intent.
Cool. She doesn't say pay table very well, and that's all right. But that's awesome, man. The Raspberry Pi 400 is pretty cool. That's the keyboard shaped one, right? What is my balance? This is the poker pay table. Okay, so we have our initial structure all lined up and ready to go. Tomorrow, I think we'll start talking about users and how we bring a bunch of our content out of the database to the skill. But I think that we've navigated a lot of this before, so I think this should be pretty fast moving when we think about what we want for our user and what kind of data we have and how we're going to store it. I think we should have a good philosophy on this. So let's go see who's streaming. Anybody good? Anybody good streaming today? Anybody good? Anybody good streaming today? No. What's she doing? White Panther.
G'day, Kings Canyon! Guys, look! Hi, friends.
That might just firing some ads out to you guys. Hey, Ryan, thanks for coming by, man. We're going to...
but you'll get something. And so the point of this is
we're gonna go raid White Panther and see what's up.
To pre-render.
All right, we're gonna go do that. So I'm gonna come in here and we're gonna say raid channel. And for those of you on Twitch, we're gonna go see what White Panther's up to. Go in there, make some noise, say hi, be friendly. It's always a good way to make some new friends. You never know what somebody's gonna be doing. So we're gonna start our raid. I haven't seen her before, so I'm excited to check out what she's doing. Once I raid somebody, I usually leave it on for like the next hour while I'm working. So it'll be cool to see what she's doing. So here we go. Let's go raid her, and I will see you guys all tomorrow morning. Bye.